Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because I'm going to be going over 4 more decomps in active development with a PlayStation focus and one Nintendo surprise in the middle. Because to say decomps, static recomps, and PC ports of retro games have been absolutely massive in 2025 would be an understatement. It really does feel like the new frontier in retro game development and actual preservation, and we're going to be talking about a lot of fun ones today. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, Final Fantasy VII, the PlayStation 1 original, is seeing a decomp status. You'll see here I even gave the name Decomp just for a little bit of fun, because I always like to sneak a joke in when I can. But it's one of those things, this is absolutely a classic game. I still remember the first time I played it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And still to this day, the original has a lot of charm. And even though we've seen Final Fantasy VII remade by Square Enix, the original definitely has that flair, that vibe, and that feel that you really can't capture in an actual remake. Don't get me wrong, the remake was a ton of fun, but the original still has that nostalgia factor, but could definitely use a lot of improvements around the edges to give it a more modern experience. You leave me a comment down below and you tell me though, if you're going to make Final Fantasy VII into a PC port or static recomp, what is the one thing that you would fix? I would say more so than anything else, I'd love to see some new models modded in, because even though these chunky polygons definitely have some charm, when you're actually outside of battle and running around in the overworld, I think the models could definitely use a little bit more visual flair. But honestly, seeing something like 16:9 widescreen support, being able to play whatever controller you want on a computer, and maybe even allowing for some mods to replace some of the background textures with higher resolution versions would really make a version that kind of felt both like the remake and the PlayStation 1 at the same time. If we pop over to GitHub, I will leave a link to all of these different decompilations in the description. You will see here that the last update as of recording this voiceover was 2 days ago. That means that this definitely is in very active development. And if we go and see how far along it is, you're going to see it's 5.17% decompiled. You're going to see different numbers here depending on what game we're talking about. And if we go to the heat map, you're going to see that most things are basically just completely not finished whatsoever, so low as the 0% or 0.1%. But this definitely does show promise, and like every other decomp, they have to get started somewhere, and you'll see here, at least on the camera, they did hit some 100% statuses. But just imagine a full Final Fantasy VII decomp that then could be made either into a static recomp or PC port. And while they basically kind of feel like the same thing, they are completely different, and in the future I will do a more comprehensive video on the difference between a static recomp and a PC port, because it does seem to trip a lot of people up. But just as we get off the train here, absolutely love the pre-rendered visuals, and when we jump off all of the chunky models, but just imagine getting this in a higher resolution, getting some 16:9 support, maybe you could redraw the textures as a mod pack, and being able to play that all on your PC. It really just is something that I would love to see happen in the future, because like I said earlier, these decomps really are going to be the new forefront. Kind of feels like when emulation was first getting its feet underneath it, and you were starting to play some games on your computer that used to be console specific. We have a decent amount of decomps, recomps, and PC ports now, but I feel like in the next 3 to 5 years it's absolutely going to blow up, and you're going to see hundreds upon hundreds of games get this exact same treatment, because Decomp here needs to be seen on PC to be fully appreciated, if you know what I mean. Now moving to the second big decomp energy status game, this is the original Silent Hill, and it's also being decompiled. And even though Konami and Bluebird Team announced a remake of the original Silent Hill, and I for one am stoked for that, getting a full decomp in either a port or recomp of this original would be absolutely amazing to have, because as good as I anticipate the Silent Hill remake being, because Silent Hill 2 far exceeded my expectations as far as the remake are concerned. It definitely is going to change a lot about the game, and it is going to modernize it. It's not going to have this very tanky PlayStation 1 aesthetic, where something like a PC port or a recomp would keep all of the original vibes intact, but you would have improved visuals, improved frame rate, maybe even support for something like ultra wide, which would actually be kind of a fun vista to see the original world of Silent Hill in. And even though you can improve the hell out of this in Duck Station, and that is usually my way to play it, it is absolutely a vibe to go back to kind of the PlayStation 1 original. And like I said, is it exciting that Konami's actually remembered that Silent Hill is a franchise that people want, having a new game as well as a Silent Hill 2 remake, and I am excited for the original remake as well, but I am as excited, if not slightly more so, for a decomp project to actually take place in the world of Silent Hill. I just think there's so many things that could be done with the formula, so many things that could be done with the controls while still keeping that original charm, because that's the one thing that the remakes usually lose, the actual original kind of vibe vibe of the game. So you'll see here on the page the Silent Hill Decompilation project. It is also in active development. It's pretty far along as far as decomps are concerned. As of the recording of this audio, it was 2 hours ago that they had a new commit to the GitHub. And if we move over to kind of the percentage and the heat map, you'll see here there is a different percentage for basically every component of the game, because some of these things are going to use different modules to do that. We have 53.89% decompiled as of the recording of this video. And if we move down to the heat map again, you're going to see that basically every area has been touched at least a little bit, and we're starting to see a decent amount of green 100%. That means for whatever function this is executing in the game code, it has been 100% decompiled, and that would be the options menu and how you actually navigate around, because every single piece of the code needs to be decompiled and understood as to its function, so then it can either be ported to new code in the PC or it can be used as a static recompilation project, because every single thing down to the gameplay to the most minute of things like how the options menu works has to be decompiled if you're ever going to do anything with it. But this is probably the one I'm most excited about in this video personally. I still think the original Silent Hill is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and I hope Bloober Team continues to nail it and gives us a brand new version of that game that is every bit as good, but I still want a decomp and a port at some point in time. Now popping over to the Nintendo universe for just a bit, we've talked about F-Zero being decompiled before, but this is the expansion pack that would be exclusive to the N64 DD. So as far as I know, this is the first time an N64 DD game has actually seen any decompilation projects, and just imagine how much fun it would be to have a PC port or recomp of the full F-Zero along with the expansion pack. I want to see something like network support so you could play against friends anywhere in the world, and you can just kind of do it online versus having to have people sit next to you. That is just something that I think would be absolutely outstanding. And with the expansion pack and the ability to actually create courses, imagine an entire ecosystem where you could upload your course, download other people's courses, kind of like Super Mario Maker, but specifically just for F-Zero X. That would be mind-blowing. And you get a good soundtrack sample here as well because it has new music, and I'll be right back with just a bit more. I just love the track maker music in the F-Zero expansion, but think of it this way. People could go and mod in new track creation tools, new assets, new textures, new models for the vehicles. Basically, they could do to their heart's content what they think would make F-Zero X a fun time. And I know I'm just imagining my perfect version of the game, whether it's a recomp or a PC port, but an entire online server where all of these creations were just available at your fingertips. Because obviously that's something you can't do on N64 hardware, whether you have an actual DD drive and a copy of the game, or you're playing it on something like Ari's. So this is something that gets me really excited, even if I'm just basically picking ideas off my brain and kind of throwing them out there for you guys to think about. You'll see here, as of me recording this video, the last commit to this decomp project was yesterday, so about 24 hours ago, and it is 97.1% decompiled. Now, of course, the expansion doesn't really do anything without the actual base game. That's one of those things that would have to work in tandem. As we go through the heat map, you're going to see so much of this is just completely done. And I'm not saying that it's ever going to be how I imagine it. There may never be an online service in a PC port or recomp where you can upload and download courses and race against your friends. I'm just talking about perfect world status stuff, but that is why these projects are so exciting. It at least allows for the possibility of all these ideas that I think would be fun in my head to actually come to fruition. I just wish I had the coding expertise to actually do any of it. I can deal with a lot of hardware very easily, but when it comes to code, I am absolute garbage, and anything I do, if it does work, it's basically by accident. And one that might come to a surprise to some people, the original Fatal Frame on PlayStation 2 is also seeing a decomp project, and this one has me almost as equally excited as actually seeing F-Zero as an expansion pack, because I just love Fatal Frame, and I love the PlayStation 2 kind of gritty aesthetic here, that kind of silver Kali crystal film grain going on, the chunky PlayStation 2 graphics looking just realistic enough to feel like it is modern gen, but old enough to feel like it's retro. This game series definitely is either love it or hate it, but for me personally, I absolutely love it, and I own every single Fatal Frame game ever released outside of the 3DS offshoot. I play them maybe once every couple of years, and I always have fun with them, but it is an experience that I think could use a little modernization in the overall control scheme and just making it look slightly prettier. I think it might get more people into the franchise, and because there have been a lot of different Fatal Frame releases and some have some contextual information for others, trying to start at the beginning would be the best to get a sense of where the series is going, but I totally get it. Maybe you don't want to drop back to that PlayStation 2 aesthetic. This one probably would see the least benefit, air quotes, you can't see me doing it, as far as a PC port or recomp is concerned, but I think it would bring it to the largest new audience, and that kind of has me excited. And the other reason I'm just showing you this game is because not every single game currently being decompiled is something that is going to be one of those top 10 greatest games of all time in your head list, because even though Fatal Frame as a franchise is popular, it's not going to rise to the level anywhere near a Final Fantasy VII, F-Zero X, or something like Silent Hill. I kind of wish it did, but it's just the reality. That's not where it is. So if you take a look at the GitHub project right here, again, link down below, you'll see all of the status, all of the different versions that they're trying to decompile, and the overall percentage. And this one was updated 18 hours ago as of the recording of this video. So again, something that is seeing active development basically within 24 hours. And it is over the halfway mark to the finish line, 53.08% decompiled. And popping over to the heat map again, you can see it's kind of interesting. The left half is basically 100% done, and the right half is completely undone outside of a few green squares. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. When we talk about halfway or 50%, it is a very interesting visual kind of gag there to show how it works. And this is just for how the camera moves in the game. You'll see here the entire camera is 100% decompiled and ready to be turned into something else. And that definitely is a fun time. If you ever have played Fatal Frame, leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think about it, because I'm always curious what people's opinions of this series is. But there are 4 new games that are actively being decompiled, some close to 5% and some close to 100%. Obviously Fatal Frame hitting right in the middle at 50. And I'll definitely do more videos like this if you enjoy them. And if you want me to talk about any decomps I haven't yet, leave me a comment down below. But we're done. Definitely beware of ghosts. Keep your camera on you at all times. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.